Welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm Bianca Mewborn, freelance journalist and contributing correspondent to the Daily Reflector and the Standard newspapers. And today I'm speaking with Daniel Heffner, candidate for the Ayden Town Board of Commissioners for Ward 3.
Yes, ma'am, Ward 3.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. Can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I was born in New Jersey, which a lot of people, in Ayden, that's always going to be held against me. But we moved here in 1982. I moved to Dudley, North Carolina, which is just outside of Goldsboro.
How nice.
And I went to high school there, and then I went to college at ECU, met my wife, moved to Ayden in 2007-8, and have been here ever since. Have a daughter, Riley, who's in the 8th grade. Hey, Riley. And she goes to Ayden Middle School, and that's basically in a nutshell. I graduated from ECU with a history degree and a minor in business.
Go Pirates.
That's right, go Pirates.
Why are you interested in being a town commissioner in Ayden?
Well, I do feel like one person can make a difference. Right. I think that my job will be to represent all of Ayden, and I totally feel like I can be a service to the town.
Daniel, what are some of your strengths?
I have one major strength, which is time management, logistics, and preparation. I own 2 businesses, I'm on 4 boards, I have a family. I also know my own weaknesses, which is, there's a book I read a long time ago, it's called Choice Theory, and it's helped mold a lot of what I do. It's basically taking stock in all your choices. Mm-hmm. And what I learned is I can run 2 businesses at 90% better than I can run 1 business at 100%. Mm-hmm. I am not good with that final 10% of details. I pay someone to take care of those details because they have to be taken care of, but I don't like to have to do it. So I figure out ways to make things work for me and my family. There's a quote, I've got a few quotes that I kind of live by, but one of them is, luck favors the prepared mind. Mm. And I am nothing if I am not prepared. As we talked about when we came here, always 10 minutes early. So,
why should the citizens of Ayden vote for you?
To a fault, I am probably fair. I am a fair, level-headed decision maker. I look at each decision carefully and without bias. And sometimes that could be almost to my detriment, because I'm going to take what you say and I'm going to factor that in. And I'm always adding to the information. So sometimes information that you had previously wasn't all the information. And so what I really try to do is never draw a line in the sand, never say, this is exactly how I feel, because as I'm taking in information, my opinion might change.
Can you describe a time where you faced a challenging situation?
Absolutely. So real estate is one of my main jobs, and as a real estate agent, you are handling the most important decision in most people's lives.
Right.
And doing that, it's stressful. You're going to see the best of people and you're going to see the worst of people. And I am anything if I'm not comforting and supportive and know the right thing to say. And even real estate's changed in the last 20 years to where, it's much more tech and a lot less person. But I come from the older school of it's still person. So, that's sort of how I see it. Important is that real estate agents are what's called a fiduciary, mm-hmm. which basically means, fancy word for, I have to look out for your best interest over my best interest. And as commissioner, I would consider myself the fiduciary of the town, which basically means it's not about me. I mean, I have very little, other than trying to do what's best for the town as I see it and as the citizens see it. I really don't have a lot of dogs in the fight. And so what I'm really looking to do is just move the town forward.
Can you tell me about a time you had to work with a difficult colleague?
Absolutely. When I obviously in that it's less colleague and more client. Mm-hmm. But obviously when you're doing that, you're not going to be exactly a fit with every single solitary person.
And you're not.
You're just not. So really what I strive to do is always find common ground. because everyone has common ground.
We do.
So what you're really looking to do is to find a way where we can meet in a lot of places, and typically I'm always looking to take the high road. I am not looking to, have struggle or beef or anything like that, and so it usually serves me well to find that common ground with most folks.
Can you describe a situation where you had to prioritize multiple tasks?
My whole life is prioritizing multiple tasks. If you could, like I said, with the time preparation, I mean, I am basically layering what's important all day, every day. And if you saw my schedule, you would be like, I don't know how he does it. And I typically make it look almost easy. And that is, like I said, it's the only super strength I got, but it's an important one for what I'm doing.
What is one of your proudest accomplishments?
So obviously, being a dad is my most proud accomplishment. I have a daughter who goes to Ayden Middle School. Her name is Riley, and she is, we had kids late. I mean, I was 40 when I had a child, so there was a time where maybe we didn't even know we were going to do that. So I couldn't be more proud of being a dad and being the dad to my daughter. Secondly, and then, this was an interesting question because I really had to soul search and think, well, what am I most proud of? But I think what I'm most proud of is building relationships and building friendships that have lasted. I mean, I have friends that I went to high school with and friends that I went to college with. There's a lot of people that go, well, I don't need any more friends. I always need more friends.
That's rare. A lot of people don't have friendships that span back that far.
My best friend I've known since the 7th grade. So, but we weren't really friends in the 7th grade, but that's a whole nother story. What's up, David? So, it's just building relationships is always important. And I try to preach to my daughter, who is very fortunate at Ayden Middle School to have a large group of friends. But, to have a friend, you have to be a friend. And there's not a lot, sometimes that's difficult. And, life gets busy, but it's always been, when my wife was pregnant, we had a lot of friends that when they had kids, we stopped seeing them. Life gets busy.
Life.
It does, right. But we sort of made it a priority that Team Heffner, that's who we are, was going to stay invested with our friends. And I think if you asked around, you'd see that we're pretty invested in our friends. So.
Daniel, what do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure or capital projects in the town of Ayden?
Obviously, there's so much talk about electricity, water, sewer, and we're not special in the water, sewer. I mean, aging infrastructure is an issue across the board. Everybody has it. And one of the trickiest parts about Ayden is we have come to growth late. So we now have aging infrastructure with more people needing to provide more services. We need a 5-year, 10-year, we need a plan, a 3-year. We need to start thinking about, hey, we're a growing town, and a growing town has to look at things. You almost can't hold the people before us accountable because they were just getting by. Like, they didn't know that the town was going to be growing at a rate that it is. I mean, it had been the same. It was just get by to the next year. But now, we've got to start really being proactive in thinking about what we're going to do long term.
Well, that brings me to my next question. Should the board be encouraging building and development?
Yes, but with careful consideration to the land use plan as a guide. I'm part of the planning board. We have spent the last year redoing the land use plan. The land use plan is basically the template for how the town, there's a rule book that says this is how we look at stuff. Mm-hmm. And when things come up to be done, they have to first meet the land use plan. Then they have to meet, there's the city planner, Nola, and Stephen, who then give it the yay or nay.
Right.
And now the board can still hear, and there can be people against it, but typically it's knowing your scope. It's knowing your job. Your job is, if it meets the land use plan and it passes the city's ideas, then that should be a yes. And so that's a little, there are some people that don't agree with that, but that's why you spend a year doing the land use plan, because it is your guide.
What one part of town would receive more attention from you if you are elected?
So I have zero preconceived notion for that question. I think those will come up and everything, there's no, we get more money here, more money there. Everything that we decide is an issue and the town citizens decide is an issue will move to the forefront and become the major issue. But I don't come to the table with, well, this is the most important, that's the most important. We'll decide that together.
If elected, what is your primary goal to accomplish during your term, Daniel?
I typically am really good at being a bridge with people and different personalities. My goal would be to bring harmony to the mayor, the commissioners, the staff, the citizens, the volunteers, the businesses. Let's talk. Let's get in there and do some work. Let's stop complaining about all the things we're not, and let's start focusing on the things we are.
Right.
And that would be my goal. And that's typically what I'm doing is this is one of my strengths, is bringing people together and letting them talk. And I hope that I can do that, because that is a strength that I do hold as well.
What community involvement have you had within the past 5 years?
All right, I got a fairly long list here.
Let's hear it.
So I am on the Ayden Planning Board. I am the board chair of the 4AC, which is the Ayden Ancestral African American Cemetery. I am on the Chamber of Commerce Board as vice chair. I'm a board member of the Ayden Golf and Country Club, and I was the board chair for 3 years of the Main Street program in Ayden. I like to do stuff. I like to get in and try to make a difference. Typically what I do is, hopefully, and why I'm on so many boards is because I'm fair, I listen, and I care. And those are usually really good ways to make a difference.
That's a lot to do.
It is, but it goes back to my superpower, which is preparation and time management. I'm pretty good at it. Like if you just get a look at my schedule, you'd see that sometimes I'm jumping in and out of jobs. The luxury of those jobs is, even though it sounds like a lot, as long as the people are happy, nobody really cares where I am. They just need to know that they're taken care of.
Right.
So I say this a lot. The luxury of my jobs are I can do them while I'm sitting on a beach. The negative of my jobs is I might have to do them while I'm sitting on a beach. So it just depends. And having a really good support system, my family, understanding that sometimes dad's going to be out for a little while we're doing stuff, is a really nice thing to have. So Team Heffner, go Team Heffner.
Daniel, how do you think the city council should interact with town staff?
All right, so this goes back to the thing I discussed about scope. So obviously we want to be friendly and supportive to everyone, but I really firmly believe in the fact that town board sets policy, staff of town implement policy. And if you believe that and you can implement that, it sort of makes things easier, because the only person that the board should interact with is the town manager. And that's an important distinction, because when you have an issue with policy, the board sets policy. So if there's an issue with the policy, that's kind of on the board. It's not on the town. Now, if you have a problem with how the town is implementing the policy, then now you have a problem with the town manager. And so just being really clear on scope matters a lot. Like,
right.
I'm not trying to make my job harder. It's a hard enough job as it is. But if you understand like the order of operations, like, in math, like you used to have where you can't multiply until you divide, and that it's sort of like that. Just having.
Please excuse my dear Aunt
That's exactly
Sally.
right. If you have a great, that's fine. I'm gonna say, if you understand and you can firmly have. And look, it's a work in progress. I would just be starting, so I don't know. My order of operations probably won't be set when I start, but I'm going to learn, and that's what I do. I chew on stuff. You can tell me something, and tomorrow, later on, I might just be in a car somewhere and go, hey, I really didn't think of it that way. I need to start considering, and that's a big deal for who I am.
Well, members of city council are frequently criticized in a very public way. Daniel, if you are subject to public criticism, how would you respond to that?
Well, I think, again, leaning back to my real estate career, we are nothing if we're not social media people. I mean, you want to go through and see such and such didn't do this job, and we, you know, our jobs are, and it's probably made the real estate business a better business, because if you're not collecting good social media looks, then you're going to be out. And I'm very proud of my 116 5-star reviews on my website, and my, you know, so obviously I'm doing something wrong. But even more proud of my 5-star reviews are that I have 0 negative reviews. So if you have no negative reviews, then, well, how can you use that as an advantage? Well, I would say this. I ran for mayor. I had 17 people reach out to me via Facebook where they wanted to interact with me. Some of them just wanted to talk. Some of them wanted to be really negative. I reached out to all 17 of those people and said, hey, let's meet for coffee and we'll talk about it. Do you know how many of those people offered to meet with me?
How many?
0.
Wow.
They all were busy. And I'm saying, I'm an open book. Please come and meet with me. I need the interaction. But, you know, that's just sort of how we are. So I will not engage in Facebook. I will not, you know, if you want to talk to me, I'm available. I'm going to make myself available lots, but I will not get into, and I watch, I look, I keep an eye on stuff, but I'm not, I mean, you go back and look, see where Daniel Heffner chimed in on something. He doesn't do that, because I want to do it old school. I want to do it personal. I want to talk to you, and me and you make a connection so that you know. And also, I offer this. You want to tape what I say? Feel free, because I'm going to say the same thing every time. Whether you like, you might not like it. You might go, that guy's a crock. But at least you'll get the same answer every time.
So you're not engaging in personalities. I understand that.
I'm not, and I just feel like it's really important to not get in the muck. You know, I'm going to try to stay above it, and I'm going to try to do the best I can. That's all
I always say I am not coming off my chariot and throwing tomatoes with
There you go. I said before, I will take the high road whenever possible. And what I've noticed is there's not a lot of high road on Facebook. So, but you know, it's absolutely a great medium. I mean, I use it for real estate. I love it. However, I just don't see the advantage of getting in there against somebody that does that professionally. So.
Well, Daniel, if there's anything else that you would like to express or convey directly to the citizens of Ayden, please take this time to do so.
Sure. So one thing that I really want to stress is please get out and vote. Whether it's for me or whether it's for any of the candidates. This is a non-presidential election. And people say, well, people don't really come out in a non-presidential election. But in Ayden, we are at a crossroads. And there are 3 seats up, which is the majority. So a 3-2 vote means that rules are passed, laws are passed. And if you don't care about politics, but you do care about Ayden, this is the time to vote. This is the time to say it. So please get out and vote. Like I said, Ayden needs consistent leadership, and I would like to be the person to do that.
Daniel Heffner, everyone, Ward 3 candidate for the Town of Ayden Board of Commissioners. This was Meet the Candidate. I'm Bianca Mewborn. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.